Greetings, coach, and welcome to the moon. Here on the moon we focus on emotions and instincts. I hope you can take information back with you to planet Earth and use it to reflect on your own coaching.
Recruiting enthusiastic kids is harder than it's ever been. Because every kid watches TV and they watch the NBA or they watch Major League Baseball or they watch the NFL, whatever sport they watch, WNBA, it doesn't matter. And what they see is people just being really cool. So they think that's how they're going to act. And they haven't even figured out which foot to use as a pivot foot, and they're going to act like they're really good players. You see it all the time. You see it at every AAU tournament, you see it every high school game. So recruiting kids that are like really upbeat and loving life and love the game and have this tremendous appreciation for when their teammates do something well, that's hard. That's hard. It's really hard. So on our team, me, my coaching staff, we put a huge premium on body language. And if your body language is bad, you will never get in the game. Ever. I don't care how good you are. If somebody says, well, you just benched Stewie for, 35 minutes in the Memphis game a couple years ago. Yeah, I did. Oh, but that was to motivate her for the South Carolina game the following Monday. No, it wasn't. Stewie was acting like a 12-year-old. So I put her on the bench and said, sit there. It doesn't matter on our team. Now, the other coaches might say, well, you can do that because you got 3 other, All-Americans. I get that. I understand that. But I'd rather lose than watch kids play the way some kids play. I'd rather lose. And they're allowed to get away with just whatever. And they're always thinking about themselves. Me, 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 me. I didn't score, so why should I be happy? I'm not getting enough minutes. Why should I be happy? That's the world that we live in today, unfortunately. And kids check the scoreboard sometimes because they're going to get yelled at by their parents if they don't score enough points. Don't get me started. So when I look at my team, they know this. When I watch game film, I'm checking what's going on the bench. And if somebody's asleep over there, somebody doesn't care, somebody's not engaged in the game, they will never get in the game. Ever. And they know that. They know I'm not kidding.
So the coach talking about attitude and his own instincts when coaching. So the first question that comes to mind on the moon is which part is relevant to my coaching. I think first of all, the coach mentions about enthusiastic kids. That enthusiastic kids watch all sports, whether that's professional or amateur, whether that's televised sports they watch. Ultimately, all the sports they watch, it results in the kids wanting to be really, really cool. And they haven't even figured out for themselves what they're good at or what they're not good at. They just want to focus on being cool because that's what they watch. And I think that's really relevant to my coaching, about all these emotions and instincts. These are what the kids feel like. They want to be the best, they want to be cool. And it's what their instincts are. They want to be the best. So I think this idea needs to be changed in coaching, and definitely throughout just developing the players. That needs to be the case. Actually, you can fail. It's not all about just looking cool and being the best, because failing is important with growing. So the next question is, how should I as a coach deal with these emotions? Or how should the players deal with these emotions? So firstly, the coach mentioned that for his coaching staff, or his coaching team, there is a huge premium on body language. And I think this is really, really fascinating for teams, for sports teams of any sport, that actually if kids, players show a bad body language, then they just shouldn't be playing for the team. No matter how good they are or how good their skill level is, if their body language isn't good, then that is one of the most fundamental skills that they need to have for that team, to be involved in that team. And if the body language isn't good, then they need to be off the team. And that goes same for coaches. If the coaching staff that you're with, the body language isn't good, then that coach needs to be removed from that environment. And then lastly, should I rely on instincts when coaching then? So I think I should. I think based on the body language that we just covered, they could be disruptive if the body language isn't correct, and technically, or essentially just bring them off the pitch, and take away that negative body language to allow for that better environment for the players to progress in. And I think the coach was saying that they would rather lose and focus on their own instincts of bringing that player off. And I think that's something that I need to take into my game when coaching. Actually, it's not all about just dealing with the players that are being disruptive. If they are disruptive, bring them off, tell them why they're being disruptive, and sort the problem out. If they're not engaged, the body language isn't right, and they simply just need to be taken off the pitch. And it's something that I need to take into my coaching. I need to be a bit more tougher on the players, and show that there is this policy they need to follow, and if the body language isn't right, then they need to be removed from the team. Information on Planet Neptune about emotions and instincts. So as you can see, emotions and instincts work essentially hand in hand, or can be viewed as working in hand. So firstly, emotions. So from Laborde, Dosseville and Raab in 2013, coaches making decisions can be really complex. The emotions need to be controlled to make an informed decision. The decisions they make underpin the positive or negative services that the players receive. So for coaches, intense emotions may help them perceive under challenging circumstances, and this was from Davis in 2016. So ultimately, the coaches, they can be influenced by the environments they're in. They might be happy, sad, angry, shocked, and all of these emotions that they have play a part in the outcomes that the athletes have. That might be positive or negative. In certain situations, it might work for different athletes, all dependent on the type of athlete they're working with. If they may be angry, that's maybe what the athlete needs. They might need that fuel of anger from the coach to push them for that positive outcome. But if there is quite a sad player, or really unhappy, and the coach is quite emotionally sad or depressed, then those two won't work out together, and it'll just result in a negative impact for the athlete. But it's also important to note that there's high pressure situations in the coaching environments, and it's difficult. As we can see, there's lots of different emotions, so it's important to note that coaches need to be aware that they might not be always right all the time, and the pressure might just get to them, and need to have that relationship with the athlete, that they understand that the coaches aren't always right, that the pressure might be getting to the coach, and it is a challenging circumstance, so everyone needs to be on board for the right outcome. And then following on from emotions is instincts. So from Davis in 2011, along with the instincts of the coach and what they deem to be right, can help the emotions of the athletes. The type of language the coach use, when to bring the player off from the match. Coaches are at the forefront of how athletes can develop their emotional regulation strategies. A coach's competency can be linked with the ability to control the emotions. Once this is controlled, their gut instincts will be more useful. So really, allowing the coach to control their own emotions will then allow them more to make these informed decisions where it's more instinct, it needs to be decided within a second. So once those emotions are controlled, the instincts will be more fulfilled, and that'll have a better result on the performance of the athlete. So reflecting on my own coaching and when I have used my emotions and instincts when coaching, there's this idea or the story that I call the rock, paper, scissors story. So this story was on a match for my under-8s team, and myself, I was feeling quite under the weather, and I didn't really want to shout too much in the match or be too loud, as I was feeling quite under the weather. But one of the players, it was straight after lockdown, and they were feeling really nervous, and they wanted to come to me to just watch the match with me, and that was absolutely fine. So initially the player was really nervous and just wanted to watch the match, but my aim for me as a coach was to get them involved and get them involved as lockdown has just finished and they hadn't been playing football. I wanted to get them out there and have fun. So firstly, I talked to them, listened to them, and we resolved the issue that they were nervous, a bit of schoolwork was playing on their mind, and they just wanted to watch. But my gut instinct was I want to get them out there. So I thought of a way that could benefit both of us, that they would feel happy with, and this idea was the rock, paper, scissors. So my game was if I won the rock, paper, scissors, then the player would have to go on the pitch, as that's what my goal was. But if they won the rock, paper, scissors, then they would sit with me. I would go through some important tactics, so to feel like they were involved, but on the sideline, and then they would get their outcome. Luckily, I won, so my goal was achieved, and the player went out onto the pitch. Luckily, the player went on and scored, and he was really, really happy afterwards, and it made me happy that the player was happy, and I think he really enjoyed himself, and especially his mums and dad, as they were able to watch his son score a goal in the match. And it goes down to that emotions, that I dealt with my emotions. I understood I was under the weather, so I thought of a way that would benefit both me and the player. And then afterwards it was my gut instinct to use this rock, paper, scissors idea, and they went on and scored. So I think in this way I have used my emotions and instincts to benefit myself and the player.